Chelsea have just beaten Panathinaikos 4-1. And in today's video, really quickly, we are going to go over what we thought of this game. Not too many different tactical sort of bits in this game, more sort of player analysis that we're probably going to go over a few different players because, as has been the theme with the Conference League and the domestic competitions, we've been playing two pretty different teams. Tonight, you did have Enzo and you did have Cucurella in this sort of setup that a lot of people are starting to refer to it as an A and a B team. I don't think it's quite as black and white as that. But we're seeing a good spread of minutes for players, which is nice to see. So you can see on paper here, this is the team we had tonight. Cucurella was starting at left back, so if you wanted to put it into a 4, then you did sort of have it like that. But what we have here to describe it is basically how we set up in possession. And it was very much that sort of 3-3-4 shape that we've seen a lot. And I wanted, just quickly before we get into the actual player analysis, there was one tactical thing that I did want to mention. And it includes all 4 of these guys. And the importance of their movement and their rotations, which I thought was very good for Maresca. So what we did see, which is common now, is wingers staying high and wide, Neto, Mudryk. They were pinning them back. They were the outlet players. Mudryk, brilliant today. We're going to talk about him. Neto as well got his assist and played well. Enzo was sort of playing as that pivot player he was. It's nice to see him deep as well. Again, I was happy with him. The back 3 was sort of formed itself in terms of Vega playing centre-back again. Thought he was brilliant. Badiashile, brilliant as well. I thought he was brilliant when he came on the other day against Liverpool too. And I said that in the video then. And I'd like to reiterate again now. I think he was brilliant tonight. Let me go for the stats for that's a lot brighter because I've pulled up a brighter screen. Badiashile made 5 clearances, 1 block, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, won 3 out of his 4 aerial duels and made 95% of his passes, 99 out of 104 with 8 long balls out of 10. Vega making 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, 1 block as well, winning a few duels himself, playing 75 out of his 80 passes, 3 out of 6 long balls. Again, 1 dribble attempt as well. Just that comfortability from these guys, no matter where they were within the block, to either come forwards with it, play it into someone like Enzo for a bounce pass, and that was brilliant from them. Disasi as well, comfortable on the ball, had a few dribbles forward and little marauds from that area. Good to see. Shame that we let the goal in, but we're not going to go into too much detail about that today because I think it was just a few little errors. When that ball broke, I think it was Badiashile overstepped his mark, and then because of that, Disasi then had to sort of cover in this area, and then the ball ended up propping up at the back post, and because Disasi wasn't in position for the back post because Badiashile had already moved out of that position, it's an avoidable mistake, but a shame that we didn't get the clean sheet, but we're not going to talk about that one too much. So why have I got these 4 players circled? Well, what Maresca did, and we've seen this 3-3-4 throughout the season already, but in a different capacity, where usually you'd have Palmer and you'd have Jackson, or Palmer this one, Jackson in here, which would usually see Palmer can drop into these spaces here, Jackson would sort of stay in that and try to pin the middle block. You wouldn't really see Jackson pull out into here. He would stay in those central zones to receive the ball. And it would actually be the left number 8 pulling into these sort of pockets. But because the 2 central midfielders in this, and the left number 8 technically is Felix. And the right number 8 is technically KDH, but he's already deeper because of the way that they're playing 2, or like 1 either side of Enzo. So what was different? Well, the sort of rotations between these 2 was very cognizant of how the other players moved. And what I noticed a lot was one of these players at all times would drop in next to, like, closer to Enzo. So if KDH dropped in from this sort of space, close to Enzo, plays in that pocket, Cucurella can move into this sort of zone. Which means now, because KDH is the one that's dropped in to form this 3-2, and Kunku actually has all of this space to drop into. And it's something he wants to do, right? He's more of a 10, sort of 9.5 player. So for him to then drop into there, that then means Cucurella's already taken up this spot. So now it's Felix who can come into this zone. And it's still created that sort of 3 box here That's very messy. Let me get rid of a few bits. Box like this. Again, quite a wide box, but it's a box with your 3 pinning the back line. Felix doing it instead. And this led to people thinking that Felix was the striker, but I just think it was so fluid. I think Nkunku was the striker in this team. But when this happened, KDH dropped in here, and it created this between these two. Now, if it was the other way around, go back to sort of the nominal formation like this, and Kukurea dropped into here, KDH could move into this space, and Nkunku could come centrally to pin. Felix could drop into this space between sort of these players here and here. And it looked a bit more like this. Again, similar sort of box, or whatever you want to call it. Quadrilateral, I think they called it in school. And then these 3 pinning the back line. So when you've got both players like this in the team, Felix and Nkunku, this sort of, and especially when you've got Kukurea, who I thought was brilliant tonight as well, not one that I mentioned, but I thought he was brilliant in terms of just offering that versatility. Like I say, he can play as that left centre back. He did it so well this season already. He can invert alongside Endo deep. He can play in this sort of half space zone. Keeps things ticking, keeps it simple. His intensity, just everything about Kukurea. Big fan of how he's playing this season. Big fan of how he ended last season. Big fan of all of it. Where does that leave us? What was I saying? So yeah, Felix and Nkunku, I love when they play together. I do think, especially for this second line, I think a lot of the joy that we get comes from that sort of relationship they have. And Maresca did sort of allude to this sort of versatility of the team when speaking about Vega today. When he came off, he said that he spoke about it to Vega, that Vega is now played as a left back, as a left centre back, and as a midfielder. And he's even played as an attacking midfielder technically when in that left back, inverting into basically the number 8, right? So, and he sort of alluded to how important it is to have these players that can play in multiple zones of the pitch and play in so many different positions. Because he said, I think the exact words were, playing in one position isn't enough in the modern day. And I think having Felix and Nkunku is just a great example of it, because they're perfect in the sense that they are multi-zone players. They can both play wide. They're both worse out wide, but they can both play wide. They're good enough and they know the role enough. They can play as centre forwards. They can play as 10s, which again, primarily, they both prefer to be that sort of shadow striker off the 10, which then means that they can both get a little bit of their best by sort of making space for the other one. And that connection is growing with every game that we see them. And again, I thought Felix was the beneficiary of it today, but I really love the tactical sort of fluidity that they give you. Just to end off with, we are going to quickly just talk about a few more performances because, like I said, Felix got 2 goals, brilliant. Had his 2 goals, had 4 shots. I do love that about Felix. I know a lot of people sort of get frustrated sometimes. I like that he has a high shot volume. I think we need that in the team. He had 1 key pass. He was getting involved. He played 8 out of 10 long balls, and that just shows when he was dropping into this pocket here, he was just able to spread the play or get play over to the isolated side of the pitch when he was on the ball. And yeah, he was just really good picking it up in that pocket, which he did really well. Enzo Fernandez, another one I wanted to highlight, playing deeper. 5 out of 7 long balls. I've accidentally come off it. 5 out of 7 long balls. I think it was 67 out of 71 passes. I'm going off the head now because I accidentally came off the stats until I get it back. So yeah, 67 out of 71 pass accuracy, or passes accurate, which was a 94% accuracy. 1 key pass, 4 out of his 7 duels, and I just like him in that deep spot. I just think he keeps things ticking really sort of cleverly. And yeah, I was really happy with him. Mudryk, 1 goal, 2 assists. 17 out of 17 accurate passes, 3 key passes. And the 3 key passes for me is way more important because I've always said this about Mudryk. I think he's just one of those players that once he does sort of slow it down, he is so clever in how he finds little passes. And there was the one for Felix where it's just a little clever pass inside, little box entry pass into Felix, who finished it really cleverly for the first goal. The second one was, it took the deflection, but he sort of got it towards Felix on the edge of the box. Again, just a clever pass. His goal as well, attacking that back post. We're going to speak about this in tomorrow's video because tomorrow I'm going to be previewing the Newcastle game and what I think, because I've been doing some opposition analysis. I've gone back and watched Newcastle games, and where I think Chelsea can exploit them. And I think something really interesting to speak about is these runs here into the back post. And it was just brilliant to see Mudryk scoring from that today, where Neto put one in, and it was actually Mudryk arriving at the back post to head it into the floor and get his goal. So that was great to see, and I think it's just brilliant for his confidence. So I would say these were some. Well, it's tough because even Kukurea, like that left side of the pitch, really impressed me, and it wasn't even that the others didn't. Because, like I said, I think Disasi was okay, thought he was fine. Neto got the assist, and he had some moments. And Kunku again got his penalty. Bit shocked that Felix didn't take the penalty, but fair enough. And Kunku's the penalty taker when Palmer isn't on the pitch, so I'm fine with that. And then I don't have him on the board here, so I can't like bring him on to show you to like have like a piece there. But I thought Tyreek George when he came on as well was really good. Just again, let me look at his stats. I don't think the stats will show it at all, but I just want to see what they look like because he was just so direct. He had 4 shots in like 28 minutes. Again, 9 out of 9 passes. He was just direct. He just looked to impact the game, and I just love that from Tyreek George. He's one that I've spoke about for a while with a lot of confidence. Him, Shin Maheka, Joshua Chempong. There's a few other kid like Dyer. There's a few other players in the academy that I quite like at the minute, and Tyreek George has been sort of the figurehead of that for a while for me. And yeah, he's just brilliant. I love that sort of directness of him coming on, getting 4 shots off in 28 minutes. Just didn't phase him. Came onto the pitch, wanted to make an impact, wanted to state his claim in the team, and that's the sort of confidence I want from my wingers. And that's why I was happy with Mudryk tonight as well, because he looked confident. And we'll end it on this because I did find this interesting. Did anybody else see when Mudryk he sort of snapped in the first? I think it was 20 minutes in. He took a shot and he sort of blazed it over the bar, and he snapped at someone. I don't know if it was in Kunku that maybe like sort of said like, "Why is he shooting?" But he from that it didn't look like his confidence got shot. He was still just trying to do the actions that he wanted to do. He's still trying to take on his man every now and again, still trying to make those passes inside, still trying to get in and around the box to affect the game. And he didn't go hiding, which is something I love because, again, like I said with George, and like I'm just going to reiterate to end this video, with the wingers, this is why I'm so high on Madueke as well, is I just love that sort of goldfish trait of, if you're going to play in a Maresca team especially, where the wingers have to be relentless and they're going to make things happen. Mudryk is one of those players that if you just give him the ball and get out of his way, he will pop up with something. His creativity and like quality is really, really high. It's just, can he do it consistently? But if you give him a lot of opportunities to do it and he just keeps going and he stays with his confidence and he just forgets the last action if it fails and goes again and goes again, he will create things and he will score lots of goals and he'll get lots of assists, especially lots of assists with his sort of creative passing. So we'll end it on that with the wingers. Let me know who you thought were the most impressive performances tonight. And make sure you watch tomorrow's video because, like I said, that will be previewing the Newcastle game. And I've pinpointed an exact blueprint that I think will work in terms of Chelsea beating Newcastle. So don't miss that tomorrow. Drop a like on this video. Come back tomorrow to drop a like on that video. And I'll see you guys next time.